quick fixes never work. Crash
Mhm.
diets never work. Is there a way that these semaglutides can be effective, or is this just another one of those quick fix pharmaceutical sales pitches?
I'll have what she's having.
Welcome to another edition of
She talks confidence.
Podcast.
Welcome back to the show. This is the She Talks Confidence podcast. I am Tony. I am a girl dad turned therapist turned women's confidence coach. Today, I have executive health and wellness coach Tina Hong. Tina, how are you?
I'm great, Tony.
I am so excited to have
Nice
you
to
on.
be with you.
Oh, like I think, and me too. And of course, we talked for 15 minutes on the fact that you're in Massachusetts and Boston. It's like my favorite town in the world. But we won't go into that because we got to get into the show. And the thing is that I am so excited to talk about health and wellness and the things that we talked pre-show, because I've been a trainer with NASM for 20
Mhm.
plus some odd years. I've also dealt with my own, when I've talked about this on the show, my own body dysmorphia stuff, body image stuff, eating stuff, control
Mhm.
factors. And so I'm really interested to see how you
Mm.
came about being your executive health and wellness coach, how you started your programs, your Ignite program. You can talk about that a little bit later, and
Mhm.
how you're helping your clients gain a better understanding in terms of reframing and not letting food take over their lives and being more in control of that. So if you can start off and just talk about how you got into creating your health and wellness passion that you're working with right
Mhm.
now.
Thanks, Tony. I'm so happy to be here with you. I think your show is great and I love the content. And I'm so in support of your mission in
Thank you.
improving women's confidence, especially in this time of uncertainty, more and more leading in businesses and really front stage in doing so much in terms of being mothers, being caretakers, but also women in business and leaders. And I guess the story is this is probably my second or third kind of reinvention in terms of my
Mhm.
career. I've had many different pivots. But really, what was the impetus for me to launch my health coaching career over a decade ago was my dad had stage 4 cancer for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And he had the stage 4 terminal cancer, started off with GI cancer, then went to his
Mm,
lung, then went to his brain. And over that time, I was his liaison with the hospitals, medical directors, the cancer centers. I was his health advocate. I
mm,
was also a caretaker. My mom could only do so much.
mhm.
So at one point, a period of years, I was living in Boston and my family was in New Jersey. I would literally be driving down like mad
Oh,
down
wow.
95 to make
Mhm,
sure that somebody was going to be with my dad post op and things like that.
mhm,
And I guess the impetus was that I experienced someone who was facing death for 10 years and the suffering that came along with it
mhm,
and the fragility of living life, breathing, and the fragility of how you can be just one touch away from death. And it was traumatic. I actually went through trauma therapy for
mhm.
10 years
Oh,
because
yeah.
I was hyper vigilant about it. It made me crazy. All I could think about was how he was going to have the care that he needed to
Mhm.
survive. So that was really the impetus that got me into health coaching.
Had you been in a health career before that at all, or what was your career prior to that?
Earlier on in my career, I was in the design and advertising industry. And then I decided I was done pushing pixels and I went to business school and started reinventing myself. And then a professor of mine from Babson College said, "Hey, do you want to start a pet supplement business?"
Oh, okay. Wow.
And I
Alright.
started working with an acupuncturist who basically we came up with formulations that were based on TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, and Ayurvedic
Mhm.
herbs for pets. And
Hmm.
so I was in a center of a holistic wellness clinic in Natick, Massachusetts.
Hmm.
And that's what exposed me to all these other modalities of health and wellness.
And so then this personal experience made you pivot towards health and wellness. How did it manifest from taking care of your father for that period of time into something where you thought, I I need to take this and I need to make this something, or I need to help other women in health and wellness going forward?
I just remember going to the hospital at Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York City, and I'm like, why is this happening? Why are so many people sick? And I really came to the realization that our healthcare system wasn't really help preventing disease. What I came to realize was I just felt this calling, like I needed to do something about it. I needed to educate people. I needed to help people see things a little differently. The proactiveness around your health and being was so important that you needed to advocate for yourself, because the medical system in the United States is not going to necessarily advocate
Yeah,
entirely. It's an
yeah.
emergency healthcare management system.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
that's the society that we live in. So I just felt this burning urge. I'm like, you know what? Screw the other kinds of businesses that I could be doing. I just feel like this is a calling for me to really get this message out to help people just understand what it really means.
When you finally made that decision, did you
Mhm.
have the confidence that you could make it work and make it happen and hit the ground running because of your past experiences, not only with the pet supplement, but also, of course, with your dad and with understanding now how things worked in terms of the health system?
Yeah, maybe not hitting the ground running, but I took care of myself. I worked for a Fortune 500 company back in the day, and I wasn't healthy at the time. Like 90% of my focus and effort was around my career, most of my
Mhm,
life. And when I see women today really killing it, crushing it, they're leading, they're doing so many wonderful things out there in their businesses, in their careers, and even at home, they're taking care of their families, they're doing it at all. And I just felt like women are not being as supported. And in the beginning of my career, I was working out of a personal training studio, and I really got my chops from a few mentors that really helped me to learn more about what happens with your body composition, what happens with nutrition and how you eat. Learning from obesity medicine doctors and on the
mhm.
cutting edge science of metabolic health. That's really what continued to fuel my knowledge around the topic of nutrition and weight loss. And I had seen really great results. In about 4 or 5 years ago, I got my NLP certification,
Mhm,
neuro linguistic programming
mhm.
certification. So I built a program on nutrition that was not called Ignite at the time, but Ignite is really truly my formula as a way to jumpstart. It's usually like a 12-week program, 3 months to really change your metabolic health, change your hormonal status. Not only what's on your plate in terms of what you're eating, the timing of your eating, how you're eating, the manner in which you're eating, and really understanding it, because people are smart. When they have the tools and resources, they are making educated decisions for
Mhm,
themselves. You're really
mhm.
empowering them to make good decisions. And so education was like number one. That program was built to help you get started on changing your habits, mindset, and nutrition.
What are the primary issues that women are coming in? Are they psychological? Are
Mhm,
they, I just want to lose
mhm,
10 pounds and then
mhm,
why? What are
mhm.
you seeing in terms of the trends now for women that are looking for health coaching?
Great question. The symptom is I want to lose 20 pounds. So they come to
Mhm,
me and say, I need to lose 20 pounds. I've tried everything under the sun. I've worked with nutritionists, I've worked with personal trainers, but I'm just not getting anywhere. And so they come to me either through an exploratory call or through an event that I might be offering in terms of a speaking event or education
mhm,
event. And then we basically start the conversation with a health evaluation. In my health evaluation, I'm really looking at not just what you're eating, but the manner in which you're eating, but also
mhm.
past history, because how we choose to care for ourselves starts with our childhood.
Sure
And
does.
yeah,
Okay.
and it
Yeah.
starts with how we grew up at the table. in the kitchen, and how our parents, our mothers fed us, our parents made that definition of the cultural food on the table. There's so many things with food. It's cultural, it's emotional, it's physical, it's hedonic. So many things that become so complicated. And with the influx of processed foods and convenience foods and all different kinds of derivatives. And in my corporate life, I worked in a food business. I
Mm.
was working for a mega giant company, one of the biggest candy
Mhm.
companies in the world. Okay.
Oh, that's ironic,
Yeah.
isn't
Yes.
is
And the
exactly.
thing is, this is before my health coaching career. My job was to be in innovation, actually. My job was to innovate health and wellness in chocolate. So it was a fun job.
Wow, that's
For sure.
how fascinating is that, though? The fact that
Yeah.
you came from trying to figure out how to make chocolate healthy, in a sense, to going through the process that you did to end up as a health and wellness coach, dealing with
Yes.
all these issues. And it brings back a really important point that you had indicated, and I think it's very powerful. The point is that eating, most of it's psychological. It's based on patterns. And that's why I think NLP with neuro linguistic programming is such an important component to that, because
Totally.
that sets the stage for everything. It sets the stage for self gratification, it sets the stage for comfort eating and
Mhm.
trying to interrupt those patterns. When you finally got that down to where you had some sort of a system and you wanted to present that to your clients, what was the number one most effective thing in sitting them down and getting them to realize first and foremost?
Mm. The mindset piece is huge, really. Over the years, as my coaching work really excelled, when I started touching points, not just on nutrition and what's on your plate, but really about what's a definition around food and what is your pattern around food? How does food play into how you feel about yourself, how you see yourself? And what's so interesting is the work that I'm doing right now with clients has been a total game changer with NLP, which is a form of hypnosis, essentially.
It's
And
it's just reprogramming. Research out there has validated the fact that you can reprogram your neural pathways in your brain. It's a fact.
absolutely,
Yeah, and that's why I think that
absolutely.
I'm totally behind that. I think it's super powerful.
It totally is because the habits are just the symptoms. The extra body weight are just the symptoms. Many of my women clients are very accomplished in the public world. On paper, they look amazing, but in their
Mhm.
internal life, they may be missing something, or maybe they just don't feel enough. They're such overachievers that in their internal private life, they never feel enough. I often hear, I know what to do, but I'm just not doing it.
That brings up such a great point. You may be so programmed, it may be so entrenched that consciously and in your adult brain part, you can say, "Oh, I get it. I totally get it. I have the information in front of me." But there's something keeping that from happening. The behavior of change, the action is very difficult. And that brings me to something I really want to hit on. Now we have this big thing. It's the semaglutides. Is that how you pronounce it? The semaglutides,
Hmm.
the which are the diabetes medications that now they're
Hmm.
promoting it for weight loss. And we talked briefly about that at the beginning of the show. But quick fixes never work. Crash
Hmm.
diets never work. Is there a way that these semaglutides can be effective, or is this just another one of those quick fix pharmaceutical sales pitches?
Right. Semaglutides, the Ozempics and the Wegovyas and all the new drugs that are coming out into the market, these are synthetic peptides. What it does is it modifies our brain chemistry, it modifies our blood chemistry. And the benefit of that is it lowers our blood. Most people who are carrying around more than 20 pounds of body fat and they have a belly are insulin resistant. That means their insulin, which is secreted from their pancreas, is not
Right?
functioning properly. So
Mhm.
they're walking around with inflammation beyond just the body fat. They're walking
Mhm.
around with very high levels of intermuscular glycogen sugar
Mhm.
stores in their blood. And that creates inflammation. So essentially, these are synthetic peptides. Let's first think about who are these really necessary for?
Mhm.
those people who are on a high spectrum, high risk factor, meaning they're morbidly obese, they have founding health issues, high triglycerides, they have high blood pressure, they are type 2 diabetic, they may have some autoimmune issues. There's so much
Mhm.
confluence of disease when you are significantly obese that
Mhm.
the risk factor is very high. And for those people, I think there is a benefit taking the drugs to mitigate their risk. And hopefully, doctors are being responsible with
Yeah,
that.
but you know how that goes, right? I don't know about you, but all I'm seeing right now is they're pitching it to women that want to lose those stubborn 10 pounds. And what
Yeah,
that does is it creates another quick fix. And it also, like I wanted to touch on, you're going to continue to move the carrot even if that 10 pounds are gone. It's the same thing as having plastic surgery. You
right.
think your issues are going to be taken care of if you lose here or put a little bit more on here. And I've had clients like this before, and they come back
Mm,
and then they move on to the next thing. Now it's the nose, or now it's a little
mm,
off the hips, which brings me back to what you're doing. And I think that's why it's such a powerful and necessary way to go about handling body dysmorphia, handling weight,
mm,
handling your thoughts and your mentality about food, how you're programmed about food. It's
mhm,
got to start not with just getting rid of the 10 pounds. It's got to
mhm.
start up here. It's got to start in the brain. It's got to
Absolutely.
start inside it. You have to start to reprogram yourself. Your program is very complete, your Ignite
Mhm.
program. Given that, what's a good first step for anybody that's thinking, oh, well, I want to go get Ozempic and they're thinking 10 pounds?
Really checking in with yourself and saying, what does this body weight loss really mean for me? What is it really giving me? So is it really giving you the confidence that you need? Maybe it does, but essentially those drugs that are coming out in the market are a temporary fix. You may lose body fat, but you may actually be losing muscle mass. If you just need to lose 20 pounds, you don't want to give up muscle mass or bone density.
Health is not aesthetics, right? It's a different thing.
Exactly.
If you wanna be healthy,
Exactly.
it's not about looking good, it's about the combination of being toned, but also being healthy and having a healthy system in place so you feel good at the same time.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's really about healing your body naturally through foods, healing your gut. All of our happy hormones, our dopamine, serotonin, all the
Mhm,
things that make us feel good and motivated are all derived coming from a healthy gut microbiome. And
mhm,
the food that we eat actually play a significant factor in building that in terms of the amino acids that are necessary. And the synthetic glutides basically they mimic what
mhm,
is happening naturally that our
mm,
bodies are designed to do. So if we can naturally do that, you can actually lose 50 pounds of body fat in probably less than a year.
mhm,
And if you get support around really the definition of food and your relationship with food and your relationship with yourself, that body fat loss actually can be a permanent thing where your choices become automatic and autopilot and instinctual. I teach a course occasionally called Eating as Meditation, and we talk
mhm.
about the spirituality of food and the experience of food. And today, if you look at people are driving and eating out of paper bags, and the experience of eating is just, it's not really self love and it's not self care. Many clients over 50 pounds of body fat feels very shameful. They don't even look at the mirror,
Mm.
Tony. They are so ashamed of themselves. They have this dialogue in their mind that they just see themselves horrifically. And whether you're taking Ozempic or Wegovy or whatever these drugs to lose 30 pounds, do you think that image of yourself could actually change through that pill? That's not changing your subconscious thoughts.
No, it's not. Maybe you might feel more empowered for the fact you're making choices now, but it's artificial. You're making choices because it's influencing your body chemistry. And so that's why I think it's so important to understand. And I always ask my clients, why? Why do you want to lose 10 pounds? Why do you want to lose 20 pounds? Why do you
Mhm.
want to feel better? Why do you want to get fit? It's the why. when it comes
Yes.
down
What?
to it. It's the genesis within themselves. Why? Because I'll be more accepted, or I'll have higher self-esteem, or I'll accept myself, or I'll have enough confidence to go out and talk to the person I want to talk to. It all comes
Right.
down to something more, like you said, more so than the weight itself. But the problem is that everything's being marketed towards just getting rid of the weight. But when you do that, you still have to deal with your mental state that it got you to there in the first place.
Exactly. That until you heal those subconscious thoughts, no matter if you lose 30 pounds in an instant, if you're not actually doing weight training and learning how to eat properly and the right kinds of foods, and you're relying on this drug, basically your skin's going to be hanging off and you're still going to be unhealthy. There may be other issues that come up.
Which is an excellent
Mhm.
point, because now all of a sudden you're dealing with a whole new set of fun stuff that you don't want to deal
Right.
with, that you didn't realize. So, all of that being said, I'd like to let everybody know where they
Mhm.
can get a hold of you, and then what the process is in terms of getting that taken care of and getting into
Mm.
a routine or getting into your program.
Right. For those of you who are really motivated to lose more than 20 pounds of body fat, a private coaching situation will accelerate your results because I'm just focusing on you. And I'm offering Tony's audience a free breakthrough call. You can go to coachtinahong.com. You could book a free call with me, and we'll go through an initial health evaluation and really get to the bottom of why you want to lose weight. What does that really mean for you? What can that look like? And what's missing that you think needs to be satisfied through that weight loss? And we can cover a couple of recommendations and initial steps for you to get going and in the right direction, because I'm going to be analyzing and looking at the notes. I send out a pre-form, and basically we look at health history and see, all right, I may have some questions for you around what's not connecting here. It's a health history evaluation, and that's completely complimentary.
I love it. And going through this myself, like I said, I have dealt with weight issues and dysmorphia issues my whole life.
Mhm.
And also with my education and my psychology and
Mm.
philosophy and all that fun stuff. This is the only way to make it stick, and the only way to create a solid foundation in order for you to be effective in going through process, and especially getting older, because our
Yes.
bodies change, and it's a lot harder now in my 50s than it was
Hmm.
in my 30s. I could get away with a lot of stuff in my 30s. I can't get
Right.
away with anything in my
Hmm.
50s now.
Hmm.
So it's so important to gain that correct mindset and to create that solid base of understanding of your relationship with food. And that's why I'm a big promoter of this. I'm a big supporter of your process. And and I
Hmm.
will put your information in the show notes,
Hmm.
so they will be able to get it there as well if they didn't pick it up from the show itself. Thanks, Tina. I really appreciate it. And you know how to get a hold of me. It's theconfidencedoc.com. And you can also, I think there's a link on there for Surrounded by Idiots, my book, as well as I got my new ebook. Speaking of food, my ebook is less than a venti pumpkin spice latte and a cake pop. If you want to save yourself 700 calories and then have a breakthrough in your life, then you can buy my ebook. So thanks again, Tina. I really appreciate it. Hope everything's good, and I will see everybody next week.
Thank you so much.